Hello everyone and welcome to episode 61 of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. My name is Kay and this is my podcast where I chat about all of the knitting that I have been getting up to lately. Today is Thursday, February 21st, and I am coming to you from Surprise, Arizona, right outside of the Phoenix area. So you may notice, if you've watched for a while, that you're probably like, where is she recording from? What is this? I've never seen this before. Well, over the weekend, I'll talk more about it later, but I'm in the bedroom downstairs, our spare room, and we moved all of my yarn in here. So it's now a shared space between Eric and myself. And I will try to get some video and put it at the end of the episode. So if you're interested, you can stay tuned for that at the end of the room, because I have had some people lately ask how I store my yarn. Can I show how I store my yarn, my stash, all of that? So I will just do a little quick tour of the room so you can see the new space. But this wall back here, this area is my favorite part of the room. I've got some of my favorite things up here. So yeah, I'll talk more about that later on the little tour if anybody is interested. But yeah, so I'm recording in here today and I have my lights on because it's just a yucky day. Raining again. I don't know what's going on here in Surprise, Arizona, but surprise, it's raining again. So I've got the lights on. So I'm worried that I can tell there's a little bit of a glare on my glasses, but I've been a little under the weather lately. So I have my glasses on today because my allergies have been bothering me so bad that I couldn't wear my contacts. So we've just got the glare today, guys. Sorry about it. What can you do though? I cannot wear my contacts right now. My eyes are so itchy. The pollen count has been so high. When we lived in Arizona before, I always had an issue around February and March with my allergies, just seasonal allergies. Things are coming into bloom around here this time of year. And it's no different right here in this part of Arizona either, apparently, because man, this past weekend, my allergies really kicked into gear. My eyes are just watery and itchy, and I've just been a little under the weather. So I debated on recording today, but we're going to go ahead and just go with it because there may be a couple of times in March where I can't keep up with the weekly episodes like I've been doing. So I thought I would power through today. That way, if there are a couple of weeks I can't record in March, there won't be so many times where there's a break. But anyways, that was a lot of chatter right off the bat with today's episode. So you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as The Crazy Sock Lady. And we do have a group for the podcast on Ravelry. If you go to the groups tab and search Crazy Sock Lady Podcast, it should pop right up. That's where you're going to find information on any knit-alongs, swapless swaps. Sometimes there'll be giveaways. There's always fun chatter over there. So if you haven't joined us, head over and do that. If you don't feel like looking any of those places for any of those things, just go right down here in the down bar on YouTube. There's going to be links to everywhere that you can find me, a link to the Ravelry group, show notes for this episode, links to project pages, all of that's right down below. So let's jump right in with a couple of announcements. So in the Ravelry group, we have the 3rd annual Selfish Knit Along going on right now. This is a knit along for anything that you make for yourself, hence the selfish part of the knit along. And it could be knit or crocheted. So you just want to head over, there's a chatter and an FO thread. All of the rules, prizes are listed, all of that good stuff. So you're going to find a link to that down below. It ends March 31st. So you've still got time to enter. And if you're a maker or a designer and you want to donate a prize for this knit along, just get in touch with me and let me know. Then we do have one swapless swap open right now. It is just about full. I checked this morning before I started recording and there are only 4 spots left. So if you have not participated in a swapless swap before, what it is you get 10 40-yard fingering weight mini skeins. There's a different dyer each month. This one that is open right now is with Eternity Ranch Yarns, and there are only 4 spots left. The prices for this are $35 to $45 depending on the location that they are shipping to. So just head over to the Ravelry group. I'll put a direct link below to the thread. All the full information, how to pay. If you have any questions, all of that will be handled over in that thread. And with only 4 spots left, if you want to snag a spot, I suggest going ahead over and doing that. The money for these, I believe, is due March 15th, but that'll be listed in the thread as well if I'm wrong. So I have a few finished objects to show you today. The first one is my February Desert Vista Dye Work socks. I finished these the other day. I can't remember what day I finished these. The whole week I feel like I've been in a fog with my allergies, but these are done. So this is the Little Mer Zombuddy colorway by Desert Vista Dye Works, and I did the Morning Coffee sock pattern, which is one of my patterns in my Ravelry store. And I love how this pattern gives some texture and almost like a ribbed look, but it does not interrupt your stripes with self-striping. So for these, I cast on 64 stitches with the US 1 2.25 millimeter needle, and I followed the pattern exactly other than the heel. So I did do an Afterthought heel for these, following the tutorial by Kirby Wirby on YouTube, and I'll put a link to that down below for you guys. So I've got the Afterthought heel there. It's just my favorite to do with self-striping. You knit your tube, you know, your sock, and then you go back and you cut in no waste yarn, but you cut in and do your heel, and it doesn't interrupt your stripes at all. So then when I picked up to do the heel, I was on a green stripe right where I picked up. So I did do some yarn management to kind of wind down to where I would be starting with the green. But then I started knitting the heel with the green and finished it out. And then for this one, I was on the kind of coral collar. So I wound until I got there and then went on. And these actually go, they're not perfectly striping. So they both started with the purple, but then they went separate ways. So I don't mind that. I didn't feel like trying to make them match exactly, so I just kind of went with it, with what they were doing. And I'm very pleased with these. I'm happy that they're done. 2nd month in, and I'm sticking with it so far. So yes, that is my first finished object. And did I say these were on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles? That's my usual in 64 stitches. So yep, those are done. I actually, what day? It was whatever day I had kind of a sick day on the couch. Was that Tuesday? Yes, because Monday everybody was home because of the holiday. So it would have been Tuesday, I think. Yeah, Tuesday. So I just kind of sat on the couch all day and tried to rest as much as I could. I'm not good at resting at all. That's one thing I'm just so bad at. I can't just sit. I am always up. I'll sit for a while in it, and then I'm up and doing things around the house, and then sit for a while, up and doing things. So it's really hard for me to make myself sit and just rest. But I did on Monday. I caught up on so many TV shows, watched some podcasts, and just knit away. So I don't know, it was probably like right about here on the 2nd sock. And I knit the whole rest of the 2nd sock, did heels and everything that night, and got them done. So that would have been Tuesday. So yay for being done with February's socks. And I have another finished object. Let's reach down here. It's on the floor. It's still in the project bag by Robin of Stitch in Pink. And I finished it and tucked it away, and I have not done anything else with it. So this pattern, let me show you the picture. I showed it last week as a work in progress. So this is the Odella cardigan. Now I did the 0 to 3 month size, and it's done, other than it needs ends woven in, buttons put on, and it needs a good wash. So it's mostly done. But here it is. Try to hold it up so that you guys can see. Like I said, it needs buttons, it needs washed, ends are not woven in, but it's done. I'm happy I did the 0 to 3 month size, so she'll be able to wear it just a little while longer. If this is your first time watching, I made this for my sister Courtney. She is due next month with her first child, so I'm working on some baby things for her. I loved this pattern. It was a lot of fun to do. I love this detail right along there. And then I love that it continues along the bottom. So the yarn that I used for this is Bernat Baby Sport, and the color is lavender. And I'm gonna do a hat in the same yarn, and then we'll see what else, because I won't pull it out this time because I just set the bag back on the floor. But the cake of yarn that I have is huge for that. So I have a good bit left. I'm gonna do a hat, and then we'll see what else I feel like making. I had someone say I need to be doing baby socks. Like, why is the crazy sock lady not doing baby socks? Well, of course I'm gonna do some baby socks, but I wanted to get these other things out of the way first because I figured baby socks I should be able to whip up in no time at all. So yeah, I wanted to get the bigger things out of the way first, and then I'm just gonna do baby socks until it's time for me to pass these things along. But let's see, what else? Was there anything else about that? So I started that on February 13th and I finished it on February 18th. So it was a very quick knit. I was knitting other things in the meantime. That wasn't the only thing I was working on. But yeah, it was a pretty quick knit. I love baby knits. Oh, and speaking of socks, do you guys, if you have any recommendations for a pattern for tiny, tiny baby socks, I mean, we're talking like newborn 0 to 3 months, something she can wear immediately, put the name of the pattern or a link or, anything like that down below in the comments. I did knit my boys' socks. I wasn't knitting socks when they were tiny babies. So I know there are so many patterns out there, but I want your tried and true pattern recommendations for that so that I can whip them up and then feel confident that they're going to fit and stay on baby feet, which, I mean, baby socks always fall off, but give me your recommendations down below. All right, so that's it for finished objects. I just have the 2, and then I only have 2 whips that I'm going to talk about as well. So they're both socks. I actually only have, other than my Scrappy blankets, I only have socks on the needles right now. I have 2 sock designs, but I'm not going to show those today. And then I have these 2 socks, one which is a Scrappy sock. So let's show the Scrappy sock first. I'm just storing it in a very misshapen basket that I got at Rhinebeck the year before last, and I've never taken the time to reshape because it's always had something in it. And yeah, I mean, how easy would it be to reshape it? I just need to do it, but it doesn't really bother me. So in here I have Scrappy socks. I wanted to show you this because I'm just about done. It should be a finished object next week, as long as I should have time Sunday. I don't think we have anything going on to work on it. So this past Sunday, Scrappy Sunday, hashtag Scrappy Sunday. If you're new to that, it's just the thought of setting aside all day Sunday or even a bit of time on Sunday. Doesn't have to be all day. You can work on other things. A bit of time on Sunday to work on your Scrappy projects, because if you're anything like me, those are the projects that you absolutely love when you get them out and work on them, but they tend to get kind of pushed to the back burner and maybe not worked on quite as much as you would like. So to kind of get some progress on them, I thought Scrappy Sunday is perfect. I take it, and most Sundays that's all I work on. I feel like lately I haven't had quite as much time on Sundays to work on Scrappy things, but I actually got a good bit done this past Sunday. So we went over to our neighbors to watch the Daytona 500. I am not a NASCAR fan at all. They put me to sleep. They make me really tired. I don't know why. I think it's just the sound of the cars. They just make me really sleepy. So to keep myself awake, I worked on my Scrappy sock. But this is not the one I worked on. This one's one that is already done. It's been done for forever. So I'm excited these are almost finished. But yeah, this is the first sock that's been done for ages. And the minis for this actually came from a Row 1 yarn subscription. I'll put a link to the website down below. And it's all Anzula luxury fibers, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't have any of the tags or anything left. So sock number 1 is done. It's been done. Sock number 2 is almost done. It's pretty ridiculous that I just didn't finish this Sunday night. This step anyways, not the whole sock. But all I have to do is Kitchener the toe. Why didn't I just finish that? I don't know, but that's all that I need to do. And here's the rest of the sock. It's just one big long tube at this point. I'm going to cut in. I haven't even put any markers or anything, but I'm going to count where I need to go and cut in and do the heel. So Sunday, this will probably be first thing that I work on. Finish this toe up and do a heel, and then I'll have a finished object. And that'll feel kind of nice because I feel like my scrappy projects are such long-term projects that I don't see finished objects with them very often. So this will be fun. The needles that I've been using for this are Knitter's Pride Zings in US 1 2.25 millimeter. I cast on 64 stitches and I've been doing 20 rows. That's what I did for the collars. So then you can kind of see most of these are 20 rows. Then I think this was 10 rows down here. I continued with this collar. That's probably 10 rows up there too. I think I did notes in my project page for this, for how many rows for each collar. But then again, just like with the Desert Vista Dye Works, I did a cut-in Afterthought heel with no waste yarn for this one too. So they don't match at all, but they're fun. They're definitely crazy and scrappy looking, but I think they're pretty cute. So hopefully next week you'll see this as a finished object. And I did go ahead, this is why I didn't finish Kitchenering the toe. So I didn't feel like getting a needle. I didn't have one in my basket here to do the Kitchener. So I just set and wound up the tiny little bits that I had left from each mini into a magic knot ball. So this will be ready. If I put it in my crochet corner to corner or whatever I decide to do with it, it will be ready to go. Right. Next work in progress. I have in a bag that my friend Pam gave me. I love the Lorax. And look, they're knitting. They're knitting their thneeds. Does anyone else just love Dr. Seuss? There's a possibility I love Dr. Seuss more than my kids. That's the truth too. And I love the Lorax. That's probably one of my favorites. I love the book and I love the movie too. Okay, so this is a pair of vanilla socks. I talked last week about how I would probably cast on a vanilla sock to take to the movies when I took the boys to the movies because they had early release on Friday. I actually only ended up taking Wyatt. We went and saw the Lego Movie too. Austin wasn't really interested in going. He wanted to go play basketball, so that was fine. He went and played basketball, and Wyatt and I went to the movies. And I got a ton of knitting done. So here is the sock. When we went to the movies, I had the cuff done so that all I had to do was straight knitting. And I put a picture on Instagram. I can't remember how far I was. Maybe like right in here somewhere after the movies. Or like up here. I got a lot done during the movie. And I'm doing same old, I feel like a broken record with it, but US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. ChalGoo, I'm doing magic loop for this one, and 64 stitches. And I think I did 20 rows for the cuff of Knit 2 Purl 2 ribbing. And then yeah, it's just a plain vanilla sock. The yarn that I'm using for this is somewhat deep stash. I mean, I've had this. So Eric actually bought this when we lived in Yuma, Arizona, and we were moving to North Carolina. He took a trip to North Carolina to do some house hunting. And I mentioned, there's a yarn store. You should go check out the yarn store. And he did. He was so sweet, and he did. And he picked up this yarn from there. And a funny story, I've probably told this before, but when he went in, a lady helped him, you know, pointed out where the sock yarn was and all of that. And then come to find out, when I moved and I started my knit group there, the woman that helped him, Karen from Full of Knit podcast, she joined my knit group, and she actually lived right down the road from us. So I don't know, small world. I thought that was pretty funny, but this is the yarn that he picked up. So when I went to start a pair of vanilla socks for the movies, I did not feel like getting my Swift and ball winder out and caking up yarn. So I thought, well, let's go to the stuff that's already ready to go. You know, you just have to start knitting. And this is what I grabbed. I thought, okay, he got that before we moved to North Carolina. We lived in North Carolina 2 years, and we've been here since last June. So it's about time that I use this yarn. And it is Osterman Step. There's the tag. And the collar number is 0198. So I'm excited to be using up some stash yarn. And this will be getting some work this weekend because Austin has a basketball game. So it's just kind of been my in the car or basketball warm-ups or basketball practice knitting at the moment. So that's it for works in progress. Just the 2 this week. I'm ready to cast on some more baby stuff. I'll probably do the baby hat next. I showed the pattern last week. I can't remember what the name of it was off the top of my head, but we'll talk about it next week when it's actually on the needles. But now let's chat about a few things that I received in the mail. So I did a swap with Vanessa, who has the shop My Creative Garage, and she also collects the You Were Here or Been There series mugs from Starbucks. So we did a swap for those because if you guys watch my Insta stories in the morning, my coffee pouring, I have a bit of a collection of those mugs. I love them so much. So anyways, we did a swap for those, and she sent along some yarn as well. I really wanted to show you guys the yarn that she sent because it is gorgeous, and this base feels amazing. So her shop is called My Creative Garage, and this colorway is called Reflection. Look how pretty that is. So there's her label. And this is a 70% merino wool, 30% silk blend. Fingering weight, 100 grams, 440 yards. Hand dyed in Australia. I love it. And this base feels amazing. I don't know what it should be, but I've been itching. I mean, it's been sitting out and I've been looking at it. You know, you get those skeins of yarn and you're just like, I don't want to just put it on the shelf and stash. I want to knit it up into something. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this just yet, but I don't want to put it in stash, I don't think. I think it needs to be cast on very soon. Maybe a one skein shawl or a cowl. This would feel amazing next to skin. Merino wool and silk. It's gonna have great drape too. I don't know. I gotta figure something out. So that's the yarn. I'll put a link to her shop down below if you guys want to go check it out. And then I talked last week about how I had a package that was like lost back in the Northeast with all the crazy weather. So it finally surfaced in Arizona, and I was so excited when I got the text message with the notification that it was actually being tracked again, because it had just kind of disappeared off the radar after like February 5th or something like that. But I got it. So I ordered one of my friend Sandy's bags by the lakeside. She did these bags for Vogue Knitting Live, and I didn't go to the Vogue Knitting Live in New York City, and I was sad and I wanted one of these bags. So I was very excited when she listed some online, and I jumped right on there and purchased one. And then on the inside, I love this fabric on the inside. And she's always got a tassel on her bags, which I love. I actually have some extra ones back here that she sent me. And then she's got kind of her signature scissors there. So I'm so excited about this. I can't wait to get, it's gonna have a sock project in it, and I can't wait to get it in there. Don't know what yet. Maybe my March Desert Vista Dye Work socks will go in here. This would be fun to take. I have a trip coming up beginning of March. I leave very early in the morning on March 8th, like middle of the night early, 1:30 in the morning. I don't know what I was thinking booking a red-eye flight, but I'm gonna take some socks. I'll hopefully sleep on the red-eye flight, but I'm gonna need some socks for my trip. So maybe I'll put my March Desert Vista Dye Work socks in here and take this with me. That'll be fun. Okay, that's all that I received in the mail. And that's pretty much all the knitting for today. So a little bit of chatter to catch you guys up on what's been going on if you're interested. Over the weekend, like I said, we moved some things around in the house. So when we moved things out of this room to make room for the yarn, Wyatt got the TV that was in here. We put it in his room, and so we had to do some organizing in his room too. We hung up some shelves on the walls, did some cleaning up, got some things ready to go to Goodwill, all of that good stuff. So we did that and then moved everything down in here all in one day. When I get an idea for something, and I got this idea probably like 8 a.m. Saturday morning. When I get an idea for something, I'm on it. Like, I am a woman on a mission and I want it done now. So we did that Saturday morning. We did his room. Then Austin had a basketball game. And then when we got back from the basketball game, I just buckled down and got everything moved that needed to be moved. And it feels so nice to have this space as kind of an office, I guess. Like I said, I'm sharing it with Eric. His guitars are still in here. You know, he can still, of course, come in here and play his guitars. I'm not like, this is my room, get out. But I feel like it's a nice mix because I'm a music lover too. I used to play guitar as a kid and piano and flute and all of that. But got out of that as I grew older. But I'm still a music lover. I'm a music fan. And so I feel like this is a nice mix of our two worlds. Yeah, so if you want to see a bit of the room, I will do a tiny bit of a tour once I clean up the lights and everything in here and put that in at the end of the chatter. But yeah, so we did that on Saturday and hung out with our neighbors that evening, spent Sunday with the neighbors. We just spend weekends with the neighbors, it seems like, but it's so much fun. We have a lot of fun with them. Then on Monday, Eric and the boys, they both had the day off, and then I've been sick most of the week, so we haven't really done too much this week. Eric's gearing up for a trip for work, so he'll be gone for a little while, and then Austin has joined a basketball club. I talked last week about how he was thinking about joining one and trying some clubs out, and he's made up his mind this week which one he, is interested in. They said, we like what we see and we want him back. So he has officially joined a basketball club. And I did have somebody comment on last week's episode and say, basketball team, it's not a club. But these are actually clubs that are year round. So it is called a club. He'll be on the 6th grade boys team within this basketball club. And the difference is a basketball club is year round, where it's not like city ball or school ball with just a set season during the winter months. This is a year round club that goes to some local and then some traveling tournaments. Kind of a next step up, a more competitive basketball. So yes, but it is a basketball club. That is the correct name for it. But yeah, so that's going to be keeping us very busy year round. Now he's going to have practice twice a week. Well, a training night and then a practice night, and then tournaments and things quite often. But he's excited, and we're excited for him to kind of take the next step with his basketball, and he's just jumping right in and going for it. But all right, so I think that is it for today's episode. I will do a bit of recording around the room as best I can. It's just a yucky day, so the lighting probably won't be that great, but I will show you guys the room, include that footage here at the end. So if you're interested, you can stick around and watch that. And then I will catch up with you guys again, hopefully next week. Until then, happy knitting. Bye. All right. So I'll do a little tour of this room. So here's all of Eric's guitars. And one of his amps. There are more in the closet, but look, such a nice little mix, I think, of his music stuff, my yarn stuff. Got a basket of minis over there. There's my Nanny and Papa. But for the yarn, here is all of the cubbies. I won't open each and every one. I've got, those have project bags in them that are empty. These over here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those have either project bags with yarn in them waiting to be started. And these are Scrappy projects, all 3 of those, I think. Yeah, you can see that one's open. It's got cozy memories. Sometimes those don't stay shut that well. But the rest of the cubbies all have yarn in them. Okay, then we come over here. I've still got a table out from where I was podcasting. But I've got a basket with some whips and things. And books. There's my Scrappy Socks. Just some little things. Needles, books. Then I've got my ball winder in that box, and there's just some finished socks and things in those boxes. Then over here, there's some sock blockers. Those are my Cable Ridge sock pattern. Then I've got this for progress keepers, and so many of them are just in project bags, in notions, pouches, and on projects. So that's looking a little bare. But then over here I've just got some cards and little things that just make me smile. And let's see. Got a bunch of tuft woolens in there. And then over here I've got like needle DPN holders, notions pouches. I think there's some cotton yarn in there. Shipping stuff for when I ship out prizes is in the bottom. So yes, this is the new yarn room. And then my sign that Austin made me when he was helping me move things. So yeah, there it is. That's the tour of the new yarn room. But now I need to go back out there with the dogs because it's storming. It's actually thundering right now. It's kind of crazy. I'm enjoying it. The dogs are not enjoying it. They're freaking out a little bit. So I need to go out there and make sure that Chloe does not destroy anything. I hope that you guys enjoyed the tour, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.